If you were listening to this program at this time yesterday, I was talking to reporter Bill Zimfer about the COVID vaccine rollout. And Bill Zimfer, of course, was saying that the UK is rolling it out, possible that some vaccines will be distributed next week. And he did bring up during the interview, and there is some question as to why it's taking a while for the U.S. How'd the UK beat the U.S. in regard to rolling out the vaccine? And I thought, that is an interesting question. And so on the Lamarca Law Group Newsmakers line, Paul Seegert of PCS Advisers, that's an employee benefits consulting firm, and he is one of my go-to guys to talk to about healthcare issues. Paul, welcome back to Iowa Radio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, so Paul, there's even a report that, it's one of those unofficial reports, but that President Trump was mad when he heard that the United Kingdom was rolling out the vaccine faster than the U.S. So how did this happen?
Well, I can certainly understand his position. The MHRA, we've kind of got an interesting story here because it involves Brexit, it involves the European Union, UK split, and the differences between how we approve drugs and they approve drugs and so on. The MHRA is the organization in the United Kingdom, the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, kind of a mouthful. They're the ones that approve these drugs or do the same function as the FDA here. And they were doing rolling reviews. Okay. And it's been reported that they were in such close communication with the drug manufacturers and researchers that they would even have only 10-minute lapse times between interactions by email and so on as they reviewed the data while the research was being done, whereas the FDA, our systems are different the way that we approve drugs. So we independently go through all of the research and verify it versus relying more heavily on the researchers' own conclusions.
So, Paul, obviously the debate this morning has been, the U.S. process is safer than the United Kingdom's process. Is that a point that can be made, or is that just a matter of conjecture?
That's probably more, I'd say that's probably conjecture and a little bit of defense on our part. You've got a story of smaller being more nimble, likely. I mean, they have 1,300 people. We have 17,000 in the FDA. Yeah. And that's a large animal. And we have pretty set processes. And we go through, we read through thousands of pages they're reading through thousands of pages of data and verifying it. The fact that we're going to end up at the same conclusion, literally likely a week or two apart, would indicate that it's not that they're any less safe. And the CEO of the company that manufactured this first drug that's approved confirm that they've gotten access to all the same information. So I don't think it's a case of less safe or more safe.
Yeah, and Paul, you made an important point here. The drug companies have the biggest to gain or lose from all of this, so they're definitely also working to make sure it's safe, aren't they?
Oh, certainly. This is an arms race like we haven't seen in our lifetimes as far as pharmacy goes. Billions and billions of dollars at play. And only AstraZeneca, which is behind these first two, in kind of the lineup of drugs coming, is unique in having said that they'll distribute theirs without profit until the pandemic's over. The rest haven't made that kind of a commitment.
Right.
So, this is a huge event, and the UK is likely to be. They'll have 800,000 doses by this weekend, and be able to distribute them shortly after that. They've got 50 hospitals already that will be allocated those doses, and they'll begin distribution. They're going to start with, officially they were to start with nursing home residents and then healthcare workers, kind of opposite from us, our advisory committee, ACIP, that informs the CDC. They had a different take on it here, where healthcare workers would come first, followed by those in nursing facilities. But they'll be rolling that out within days, and then we'll have our public hearing on the 10th. I think there's certainly some posturing with the UK leaving the European Union. They're sending a message to drug manufacturers around the world that, hey, bring your products here. We will act quickly, and kind of positioning themselves in that way, I think, whereas the FDA, with our public hearing on the 10th, and the same thing for the European Medicines Agency, the EMA, they're going to have a virtual public meeting on the 11th. The focus is more about educating the population and getting them on board with the fact that it will be safe to take this vaccine, because all of this is not if we can't get citizens to get vaccinated, right?
No, that is a great point. And I love the big picture, Paul, of saying Brexit played a little bit of a role in this. We were nimble, we were fast. And I would assume in the United Kingdom, again, it's two different cultures. Would you say that the people at the UK are more accepting of this vaccine, where the people of the US, we need to be reassured that it is okay to take the vaccine?
I think there's some truth in that. They have anti-vaxxers there too, of course, but I think I agree with what you said there. And you also have the fact that the UK, in the entire European Union, they kind of shared the workload of doing this kind of work. And the UK now is breaking out of the European Union with Brexit, but while they were in the European Union, they carried a lot of this workload. So they were already in the mode of doing this as part of the European Union, and so they were likely the most prepared of the EU nations to get this done.
That is fascinating, big picture insight. That is Paul Seegert. He is from PCS Advisers, an employee benefits consulting firm. And Paul, thanks very much for your insight on this topic.